Hello everyone and welcome to Off the Shelf Reviews. Today it's just myself, Gary, and
Ian.
And we've just come back from seeing the new Evil Dead. Not The Evil Dead, Evil Dead, 2013. And there's always been talk between Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell as to, are they going to make a new Evil Dead film? Are they going to make Evil Dead 4?
Yeah.
And only recently they've turned around and said, hey, we never made Evil Dead 3. We made Army of Darkness. So we're going to make a sequel to Army of Darkness. But in the meantime, have an Evil Dead remake. And as soon as they said that, there's an Evil Dead remake, we kind of coiled up inside with some pent-up kind of anger. We're like, is Bruce Campbell in it? No. It's like, well, why? You don't need to remake it. It's fine. It's fantastic. So, but they've remade it, and Ian, why don't you give your first thoughts?
Well, my first thoughts are this is Evil Dead for the uneducated. Anybody who never watched the original 3, especially the original The Evil Dead, you missed out on something, because if you're going to see this new one in the cinema, wow, you are going to get hit in the face by a lot of shit. And I mean, quite good shit. I was one of these people when I heard they were making a remake. I was like, oh please God, I've seen the Thing remake, I've seen Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th.
And Halloween.
Halloween was quite good, but when they mentioned Evil Dead remake, the word remake kind of brands itself into your brain, and you're like, oh please God, do something good with the story.
Yeah.
And they did, I feel. I thoroughly enjoy myself.
Well, as you said, this is the Evil Dead for a new generation.
Yeah.
This is where they're saying, okay, it's been like 30 years. Some of you kids don't even know what the Evil Dead is, so how about we just remake it and just make the movie again, but with the budget that they never had originally. That's definitely the biggest difference, really. It's just the production values are just hugely different, because the story is the same.
Yes, yeah, it is pretty much the Evil Dead. Bunch of teens go to a cabin. Spoilers, we won't tell you why they go to this cabin. They just go there. And they go inside and come across the most evil-looking object in history, in film history, wrapped in a black bag and barbed wire. They come across.
I thought the barbed wire was a nice touch.
A nice touch that just tells you not to touch it. Don't touch it. The Necronomicon Immortes, or as they call it in this, they call it this one the.
I don't know.
The Necronomicon.
It's still the Necronomicon, but it has the name that it had in the original. So shame on me for forgetting. it's to always remember it's the Necronomicon.
Legend has it that it was written by the Dark Ones, Necronomicon Ex Mortis. Roughly translated, Book of the Dead.
It's just the most evil book, and they open it.
It says, I mean, in the original, it doesn't say this on the first page.
No.
It looks like somebody scrawled notes on this copy.
It's bound in human flesh and inked in blood. It doesn't matter what you write in it. Don't touch it.
And the book tells you, don't touch this book. Don't read. It especially says, don't read these passages aloud.
Unlike the original, I mean, in the original they come across Dr. Nobi's notes, and they realise that somebody's already been up here, and they do come across that in this one. Other people come across the cabin, but in the original they hear the tape recorder, and it builds up all that suspense. The thunder, the lightning, the branch through
coming through the window.
In the original you were just building up that something bad was going to happen. Obviously, as a fan, you go into this one, shit's going to happen. It doesn't matter how they get to it, But once you read from that book,
I released something from that book. Something evil.
Straight away, you hear in the music score.
Did you hear that?
I heard that. Yeah, it made me giggle. I'm just like, they're nodding and they're paying tribute to the fans of the original film, and they did that in spades. And too much so, I would say, to the point where I was constantly reminded, this is the remake. I'm not just watching a fresh film, because they've got they've got the car.
Yeah.
They've got the cabin looked identical. The outside,
yeah.
The work shed, the swinging bench, the basement.
They had a well.
Yeah, I guess that was different. So it just reminded me too much of the original, which I wanted it to, but at the same time I wanted it. I don't know. You can't kind of win really with a remake.
No, that's it. It's a remake. They've got to pay homage to the fans, and obviously if they don't, you kind of like, where's our little bit? But they were chucked in there, every now and again, and everything else just kind of hit your senses. There were some little bits I kind of couldn't help but giggle at, like the rack of beef. I mean, if you're going to see it, you'll understand. If you have seen it, you'll understand. You see this rack of beef, and everyone's like, oh, we're in this cabin in the middle of the woods.
Let's go have some dinner.
Let's go have some dinner. Pissing it down outside. There's a girl. She's fucking. She looks the main girl, Mia, the main girl, looks fucking evil before
they even get to the cabin.
Before they even get to the,
Me. Listen, you gotta get out of those clothes.
You have to get me out of here.
With this one, they had budget. We're leaning on when Mia, she goes to do her thing in the woods, which was quite dramatic. It was half an hour in, and you're just building up to it, and then these phantoms start to attack. The Force starts to attack her.
Yeah.
And we get to the rape scene.
Well, that's one of the if you don't know
most
this,
controversial
the
scenes.
original Evil Dead film was one of the first films banned in the UK.
Oh yeah.
It coined the phrase "video nasty," and one of the main reasons why is that about 30 minutes into the film, one of the female characters gets brutally raped by the woods. The trees.
You say brutally. I mean, I've seen the film.
No, well,
it's just.
Well, I mean, it's that one shot. It's that one shot where she's been tied up and they're coiling around her, and then it's that one. Penetrating
for the original
and that was
film.
Even Bruce Campbell said that's where you lost 90% of your audience.
90% of your audience.
So and that was 30 years ago, and even watching that scene now, that scene is still quite cringy. So
yes,
it was like, are they going to do it for modern audiences?
Are they going to do it for the modern audience?
The hint was there in the poster art for the new Evil Dead when you just see the roots in the title. I was like, okay, that's kind of saying, we know. And why don't you tell me your thoughts of that scene, Ian? For the remake.
For the remake, it's very well done. She makes her way through the woods. The woods attack her just like they do in the original, and with a bigger budget, they hurt her. I felt for this girl. I mean, the original one, this one.
Yeah.
And then from that point on, I just wanted her to do some more nasty stuff.
Yeah.
It just gets more and more gruesome from that point on, and that is saying something for a film to just take a girl and rape her with a tree. I'm sorry to say that on film. To take that scene and then up the ante into the next scene and the next scene, and the remake does it well. I'm trying not to spoil it, but they build up, and obviously going from what we know, the rest of the teens end up getting attacked by, like we said, this evil is actually, it has a name now.
Yeah, the demon, the Kandarian demon.
The Kandarian demon. It's like, I don't want to say it just in case he possesses me, but he becomes an actual character in the film.
Yeah.
You know, when you see the possessed come through, unlike the original where they were just evil versions of themselves, they were this demon.
Yeah. They were all kind of speaking as if they were that one demon, essentially.
Yeah, very aggressively.
Very aggressively. Now that's again one of the biggest differences between, you know, the possessed, if you will, now,
yeah,
or the dead versus the Deadites. Was that the Deadites in the original Evil Dead are quite playful, and they to an extent, like I said, they're playful, but they mock the living a lot more in the original, whereas in this new one they're a lot more aggressive, and I wouldn't say they're more verbal, but they're more verbally aggressive as well. They swear a lot more, and especially it felt like The Exorcist. Whenever one of those girls was possessed, they turned into the girl from Exorcist mixed with the Ring girl with the black hair, over the face, kind of like funny looking. It's just like it's the Ring girl. But it wasn't.
At the same time, they had to keep to this line. Looking at the remake and the original, all the girls die first.
Yeah.
In very gory fashions. I mean, remembering...
I was wondering if they would do that, with it being more of a conventional horror film as well, where it's usually, the female becomes the lead.
Yeah.
And that usually happens in like 98% of all horror films. The Evil Dead had a male lead character who you wasn't expecting. He was the reluctant hero, if you will.
Yes.
And so we've got to talk about it because this film doesn't have Ash.
No.
There is no Ash character. There is, the brother, who has, the blue jacket, jeans, boots.
From behind, he does have an Ash look about
exactly.
himself.
You could mistake him for being the replacement Ash. And because the events in this remake play out near identical to the original, you're like, okay, so you start to accept him as the Ash. And so, as the Ash character.
I like that.
I gave her a sedative, so she should be out for a couple of hours.
Okay, let's not lose our heads, okay? With any luck, it'll stop raining in a couple hours, and we'll be able to cross the creek in the morning, and we'll take her to a hospital. Mia?
See, knowing it was a remake, in my head, I kind of knew that guy, the brother, was going to be a bit cheesy.
Mm-hmm.
He was the hero. He wasn't Ash the hero, but he was the hero of Evil Dead. He was trying to rescue everybody, just like Ash does, from the original. And ultimately, at the same time, he just gets wounded and beaten up, and I'm just like, you're such a douchebag. I want you dead. I want Bruce Campbell to come in and you to turn into a Deadite and him to shoot you with a double barrel shotgun.
Hey, I'll swallow your soul. I'll swallow your soul. I'll swallow your soul.
Swallow this.
And then just walk off.
And then just walk. Well, no, save the day and be the hero. But he doesn't. And I go with the brother and trying to rescue the sister. I felt bad for his friend Eric.
He was pretty much replacing the Scott character.
Yeah. Well, see, that's it. I mean, he wasn't a Scott.
No.
If you've seen the trailer, he's the guy who has the book.
He's a teacher.
His backstory. He's a second grade teacher somewhere, but he gets the book and he reads from it. You fucking idiot. And then he just spends the rest of the film getting shit kicked out of him.
Olivia?
Oh my god!
How the fuck did you do that?
The violence in this one, it takes it up a notch. Like we said, it's already got the budget, so let's just up the ante with what we can already do.
Yeah.
They didn't have really far to go from the Evil Dead. I mean, we're talking axe dismemberment, we're talking shotgun blasts to the face, we're talking... There was no chainsaw action in the original.
No, that's true.
There's chainsaw action in this one.
You are all going to die tonight.
Cinematography wise, it was stunning. It was beautiful. It was crisp. The detail in just the furniture, just all of the gore effects. Nothing seemed out of place. There was no false bottoms or missing ceilings or
Shems.
or
no shems.
or shems. Or maybe there was. We never know. So I mean, it had all the production values. The sound was it worked. It wasn't in your face as much as maybe the original film's music, which is kind of
the
overly
audio
hyped.
was very balanced. I mean, there was no silly music moments. It was just quiet piano, just slowly building up to certain scenes, and then you'd hear more the possessed. They were a lot more verbally loud, but at the same time, when they weren't making any noises, they would literally stood there and you could hear bones crack.
Creaking and everything else.
Yeah,
So
you can see their eyes rolling. But
the sound design was again spot on. So was the camera work. So was the editing. The only thing that really bugged the film down for me was perhaps the pacing, where even though it had a similar runtime, and the events of the original are repeated in the remake, quite in order. But in the first film, in the original, I always had a sense of danger, even rewatching it, when it's just Ash walking around the cabin and going into the basement and getting ammo, or just things happening around him that's got him constantly on edge. It makes you scared. In this new one, I didn't really get the fear factor at all. It was more of an action horror.
Scene after scene of just...
in the original, there was a lot more physical kind of battles with blades, where they're grappling each other and wrestling each other. Whereas this new one was just lots of violent jabs and cuts. It maybe felt a bit too unnaturalistic in a way, because they were possessed and because they had... they were moving a lot more violently compared to the original, which they couldn't. So... for me, it lost something there just a little bit. But what I was going to say, it's the pacing. There was just so many scenes that just felt like I just wanted to move on a little bit. It just wasn't necessarily the actors or the script. It was just
you were waiting for the next big thing to happen. I mean, the original is an art piece. Now looking at it,
it's a cult movie.
Yeah, like we said. I mean, in the original, they build up, and after 2 or 3 of them getting chopped up, and most of them dying, you have Bruce Campbell walking around and comparing it to the remake. Bruce Campbell's solo independent moments in the original Evil Dead are just brilliant. You have the camera work, the mirror scene from the original. Like you said, him walking down to the basement and the basement falling apart and blood just spurting everywhere and the whole camera coming to life and
the
playing all the music.
Yeah.
This one, this one, when they do go down to the basement, I'm just like, it's too quiet. It's just too quiet. Something should be attacking him, and it doesn't. And then it just hits into the massive action sequence, and like you said, it's just jab and cuts, and you're looking at the prosthetics. There was no CGI.
They were fantastic.
When they're cutting, they're literally cutting full-on prosthetics with blood and guts.
Fake blood cringing constantly in the cinema. I mean, it's not often I cringe, but the Evil Dead remake's violence was cringe-worthy to hell. You heard people in the audience laughing and giggling and making comments at some of the scenes. So
I mean, like we said, compared to the original you just had bags of meat. In this one, you have a full-on special effects, and they look really well done. But then again, I mean, like we said, it's a remake. It builds up to an ending which I kind of like I say, the Evil Dead is an art piece. It's a piece of cinema history now that they've remade it.
Yeah.
This remake, it's for you people who can't stand that amount of gore from the original. This one, if you can sit at this amount of gore, you can go back and watch the original, and you will enjoy the original a lot more. But this one is still fun.
Yeah.
I'm just sat here thinking about some of the parts, and I would really just love to replay the whole film to you. I could act it out right now. That's how I'm feeling. You should all watch this. Join us. Join us. You have to. If you've never said that, if you've ever been in a situation where somebody said to you, "Watch The Evil Dead." Have you ever seen The Evil Dead? And you've sat there gone, "No." You should watch this one. Go to the cinema, pay the money, watch this film, come out, and then go and watch the original. And love Bruce Campbell, like I love Bruce Campbell.
If chins could kill.
If chins could kill.
I recommend the film. I'm not as excited about it as I was going into it. Now, all the hype is over now. Now I've seen the film. It is a fantastic remake. It's just it is a remake, and it only does a few things different, other than it just looking and sounding and flowing a hell of a lot nicer. But again, it was that pacing, and it was the whole possession monsters not really feeling like crazy deadites. Yeah. So it's still a worthy film, and it's got, you can still feel hints of Sam Raimi and Rob Tappert and Bruce Campbell. You can kind of imagine them kind of like being on set.
The homages are there.
Exactly, the Michigan T-shirt. I mean, we've said them all, but. Yeah. So you get a feel of them being there, and it has a lot of heart and soul for an Evil Dead film. For those of you who know the background to it, if you're not a fan of Bruce Campbell or Sam Raimi, or you're not even aware who they are, and you're just like just fancy a horror movie, then you watch The Evil Dead anyway, because it will give you what most horror movies probably don't, and that is very good filmmaking mixed with fantastic gore and
lots and lots of gore.
Yes,
lots of gore. I just can't get over it. I mean, there's just some scenes in there are some scenes in the original. I could talk about the original all night. The axe chopping scene, the shotgun blast. This new one, it just adds those extra ones, and then. Just makes you want to go back, and then you want to see it and done again.